So let's go over the live briefing that was about the nationwide injunctions and Supreme Court rulings and stuff. We're gonna fast forward because I think. Yeah, we're gonna fast forward. Holy shit! There's like
decision.
20 minutes of dead air. Fucking hell. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Ooh. Zoom! Oh, there he is. There he is. There's our president.
Decision.
Are we winning, Mr. President?
We're very happy about. This morning, the Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch. The Supreme Court has stopped the presidency itself. That's what they've done. And really, it's been an amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit.
What was it, 63 dissent,
this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system. This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades. And we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century.
Yeah, basically they were having a bunch of lower courts file a bunch of TROs trying to stop the president, and that's kind of like, what the fuck?
Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very simple. I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts, and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people. Thanks for this decision, and thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
Exactly. If you guys want to, right? Yeah, this is so weird about judges too. They always do that flip-floppy shit where they'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna go back to the times of when this was written, and then we're gonna talk about it, and then we're gonna take it to modern times, and then we're gonna talk about it, and then nothing gets really fucking done." Because it's like, no, dude, none of that shit is happening. It's fucking history.
On a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship.
There's no slaves anymore, unless you're talking about like human trafficking shit. That's not even. That's something else.
Freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list. I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she can talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important decision. This is a decision that covers a tremendous amount of territory. But I want to just thank again the Supreme Court for this ruling. It's a giant. It's a giant. And they should be very proud, and our country
Yeah,
should be very proud of the Supreme Court today.
Trump can
And with that,
actually
I'd like
start
you
doing
to,
what start
listen to
doing
the
his
words of
executive
Pam Bondi.
orders
She's an
now.
incredible attorney general. We're very proud
Because
of
there's
her.
nothing holding him back,
And
in a sense
as
now.
you know, Todd Blanche is with us, and we have so many others.
No
that
more
worked on
judges
this
in
case
his
and
way.
other cases. And I think they're doing a great job. Pam, please say a few words.
Also, wasn't there like a
President
hearing
Trump.
about his like war
Thank
powers
you for fighting
too?
for all Americans. Americans are finally getting what they voted for. No longer.
But it's
will
like,
we
I don't
have
even know why
rogue
they're
judges
having that hearing.
striking down
Is it because
President
last
Trump's policies
they didn't
across
even
the
do anything for
entire
that
nation.
for Obama
No
on that
longer.
one? So why the
Today,
fuck are
in the
they even
6-3
trying that on
opinion,
Trump?
Justice
That
Barrett
shit don't
correctly
make
holds
sense.
that the
Oh,
district
fuck
court
you.
lacks authority to enter nationwide or
That shit
universal
never made any
injunctions.
sense.
These lawless injunctions gave relief to everyone in the world instead of the parties before the court.
I don't
As
even
the
think they
Supreme
did that
Court
during
held
Bush
today,
era when he
they
fucking did
turned
his shit.
district courts
Right
into
when
the
fucking
imperial judiciary.
right with the Twin Towers
Active
and whatnot.
Liberal justices, judges have used these injunctions to
Oh,
block
what was his
virtually
war on
all of
terrorism?
President Trump's
He
policies.
essentially
To put this in
bypassed
perspective,
Congress.
There are 94 federal judicial districts. 5 of those districts throughout this country held 35 of the nationwide injunctions. Think about that. 94 districts. And 35 out of the 40 opinions with nationwide injunctions came from 5 liberal districts in this country.
Yeah, so it's
No
basically
longer.
only 5
No longer.
courts
These
were
injunctions
literally
have blocked
able
our
to hold
policies
up the
from
whole
terrorist
fucking
to
system.
military readiness to immigration
That's
to foreign
kind
affairs,
of
fraud,
shady, isn't
abuse,
it?
and many
That's
other
kinda weird.
issues. The judges have tried to seize the executive branch's power, and they cannot do that. No longer. No longer. And on immigration, on a side note, today marks 2,711 arrests on these terrorists and these gangs.
Jeez.
Total
Pam
arrests
Bondi is,
today
like, going
with
in.
HSI investigations. And thank you, Stephen Miller. Thank you to Homeland Security. Thank you to everyone working hand in hand with the FBI on all of these transnational gangs. TDA has been a huge terror to our country, as well as MS-13, as well as Sinaloa. No longer.
Sinaloa.
These injunctions have allowed.
Oh yeah,
district court
by the way,
judges to
all
be
of those
emperors. They
all of
vetoed
those
all of
gangs,
President
yeah, those aren't
Trump's
even
power,
right,
and they
those aren't in
cannot
the
do
US.
that. This has
Yeah,
been a
those are all out of
bipartisan
country
problem
gangs.
that has
By the
lasted
way.
5 presidential
All out
terms.
of country
5
gangs.
different
Well, we have our own
and it
right
has
issues
ended
with
today.
gangs of our
We
own.
will continue
in
to
the
fight
United
for President
States.
Trump's policies. I want to
That's nice,
thank
right?
the Office of White House Counsel, Dave Warrington. You and your staff have been
More
incredible.
gangs.
Our Solicitor
We need more
General's
gangs.
office, John Sowers,
More
Sarah Harris,
cartels.
and
More
Todd Blanche
coyotes.
and Emil Bovey. Todd's going to say a few words because we've had another major ruling today on transgender books and some other great wins that we've had. But no longer will they have this power in our country. It is the president's authority under his executive branch to do everything to fight for the American people, and he will
We need
continue
more
to
fent
do that.
runs.
That's why he was overwhelmingly
We need
elected.
more drugs in
Thank
the
you.
veins.
Thank you. Yeah, today's a great day for the rule of law. It's a great day for the Justice Department, and it's one that's been a long time coming, and one that every American should have been waiting for with bated breath. And so I echo what the President said and Attorney General Bondi, that the Supreme Court did a great thing today, not only for this administration, but for every American in this country.
Yeah, the fucking Supreme
If
Court
not
is
for the
actually doing their
injunctions
job.
case, we would be here talking about another great decision
Surprisingly.
that came down today, the trans books case,
I
which
swear to God.
restores parents' rights to decide their child's education. Seems like
I don't even know why we have to even do these fucking dumbass rulings, because some of these rulings are like fucking
that ruling allows parents
open
to opt
book
out
and shut
of
case,
dangerous
right?
trans
Fucking-
ideology and make the decisions for their children.
People are just
that
trying
they
to
believe is
fucking
correct. And so we thank the Supreme Court for that. There's been multiple decisions over the
overuse their
past
powers and
several
shit,
weeks
trying to use
that
like
just show why this
other
injunction,
branches of
why
power.
this nationwide
It's
injunction
like, dude,
ban
you don't
had
have
to
that kind
happen.
of power. Get
For
the fuck
example,
out of here.
what I mean by that is local district court judges issuing decisions that are clearly contrary to law just because they don't like the policy of President Trump. And when it gets to the Supreme Court
You have
has to
people
correct it. That
voting
takes
against
time.
Trump
The Attorney General
purposefully
thanked
because they don't
our
like
lawyers,
him.
and I'll do it again. Our lawyers are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I mean,
to fight
just
these
what was the whole
injunctions and to
fucking military
appeals,
operation with the
emergency stays, going back to
Israel-Iran
district
thing?
court
That
judge,
one was a
asking them to
fucking
change their
just
view.
eye-opener.
And so their hard work is really paying off today, but over the past few weeks. We had a stay of
Trump
an
can't do
order that
any of
prevented
these.
DHS from moving aliens to a third
sorry,
country.
are you
We had
the
a stay of an order
commander-in-chief?
that stopped the Department of Defense from
I'm sorry, are
implementing
you
military
looking
readiness,
at fucking
the
military
EO that President Trump
operations?
signed.
Huh?
We had another
No,
stay of an
you're
order
not.
forcing
You're just a
reinstatement of
fucking
fired
grunt.
executive
You're
branch
a fucking
employees
peasant.
entirely within
Shut
the
the
president
fuck
in
up.
Article 2, his right to do. We had a stay of, as you all know, of numerous Doge cases. And again, every one of those stays requires a tremendous amount of work and effort by the lawyers and parties involved, and they should be doing other work. They should be doing the work that the president and this administration demands and has a right to demand, and not fighting these local judges who don't make decisions based on the law.
Yeah, no,
They
they're
make
not.
decisions because they just simply don't agree with the administration's
Yeah,
decision
it's
about
'cause they
policy,
hate Trump.
and that's
Literally.
wrong. Thank you.
You literally have Jasmine Crockett. You have Letitia James. Really, all of these people ran on the pretense of fucking with Trump.
Madam Attorney General. So, as you know, the Supreme
come
Court
on.
did not rule on the underlying constitutionality of the president's birthright citizenship order.
And
So
even
what is the plan
most of them
now?
are
you going to
more
try to
war
implement
hawks than
the
fucking
EO
Trump,
just
too.
in states where there isn't
and
a
everyone's
legal
fucking
challenge?
eating their
Yes,
shit
the
up.
birthright
That's the
citizenship
crazy thing.
will be decided in October in the next session by the Supreme Court, unless it comes down in the next few minutes. I guess it could come down. I think they're still deliberating right now on some cases. As you heard, we just got transgender books, which is a huge win. But most likely, that will be decided in October in the next session. However, it indirectly impacts us because, as you correctly pointed out, if there's a birthright citizenship case in Oregon, it will only affect the plaintiff in Oregon, not the entire country. So yes, it's indirectly.
Yeah,
but
people
that's
were trying to
pending
like make
litigation, and
anchor
we're waiting on that
babies
in the
out of
next
this
term.
shit. Yeah, no, fuck out of here. No, it doesn't work like that.
and
That never.
determine that the
That
executive order is
it was
Oh,
never
we're
supposed to
very
work like
confident
that.
in the Supreme
So the
Court,
fact
but
that
again,
people
it's
were
pending
trying to
litigation,
invoke
and
that
will
bullshit, yeah, no,
directly
get the
be
fuck out of
determined
here.
in October, but it indirectly impacts every case in this country, and we're thrilled with their decision today. Peter.
Madam Attorney General, thank you for being here to take our questions. A couple questions to the both of you. The EO had a 30-day grace period before it goes into effect. Is there any thought about trying to make it effective immediately within that period of time?
We're going to follow the law. We're going to make those decisions, and we're going to do what's right in the bounds of the law.
And then the DOJ didn't ask the justices to rule on the merits of the birthright citizenship ban. Just for explanation purposes, why?
Sure, because that's going to come down in October in the separate. This was huge because it's indirectly impacted today. As I said, it's case by case. Let me reiterate, of the 35 of the 40 nationwide injunctions filed against this president, against his executive authority as president of the United States, 35 of them came from Maryland, D.C., Massachusetts,
California. Oh, yeah.
Washington. I mean, that's crazy.
It's literally all the
These
liberal
5
states.
districts. So yes,
All the
it
fucking
indirectly
Democrat
impacts us. It will be a
states,
separate
dude.
decision in October.
It's
Next
every
question.
single time, man. It's always those.
Do you believe this ends the power
Fucking
of the lower
Maryland
court
man
judges to
bullshit.
stop
I hope
your
you guys
agenda?
burn in
Do you
hell.
see this as a full green light for your agenda going forward?
Well, you'd have to really speak to the lawyers about that, but this is.
I live in
really
California,
also a
too. I hope
decision
this
based on
fucking
common
place
sense.
burns.
It didn't work the other way. It was a disaster where somebody from
Like,
a
people have
certain
let this
location
fucking
in a
place turn
very
into a
liberal
shithole. Fuck
state
that
or a
shit.
liberal
No,
judge
let
or
it
a liberal
burn.
group of judges could tie up
It
a
needs
whole
to be
country for
cleansed with
years
the holy
because,
fire now.
Their decision would sometimes take years to overturn. We've overturned many of the decisions, but it would take years to do it. And we have to act quickly when it comes to illegal immigration. We have murderers, killers, we have drug dealers, we have what they've allowed to come into our country should never be forgotten. It should never be forgotten what they've done to our country. and we have to be able to act very quickly, and we're going to do that. Thank you.
Justice Amy Coney Barrett, sir, I know that you praised her and her opinion here in this case. She has taken some heat, though, from some of your supporters who have labeled her weak, a squishy, a rattled law professor. What is your take on that?
I don't know about that. I just have great respect for her. I always have. And her decision was brilliantly written today, from all accounts. Yeah.
Transgender ruling, Mr. President. What would you say to Americans?
I mean, if
who
you really
fear
want to
that
talk
this is
about it, there's a lot of teachers who want to be like, oh, I should be the commander-in-chief and look at military operation records.
This is really the opposite of that. I mean, the question is fine, but it's the opposite. The Constitution has been brought back.
Even though they don't know how to fucking fight themselves.
Thanks so much, President Trump. Illegal crossings in the border are 0 now.
0. Does everyone hear that? 0. Trump 2028!
Do you intend, President Trump?
Who's that guy? I like him. He's working the cameras.
With this new reality, President Trump, in the border, do you intend to engage personally with leaders from South America, not only Central America, in order to tackle
I do that
this
anyway.
situation?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's doing
And
that.
if you have a perspective of meeting some presidents from South America, as Brazil, for example.
Well, you see, as an example, not South America, but NATO over the weekend.
Yeah.
They have great respect for our country now. They did things that nobody thought was possible. They took funding from 2% to 5%. Nobody thought they'd ever pay the 2%, and now they're paying the 5%. It's over $1 trillion more a year. Think of that, $1 trillion. Nobody thought that could happen. That's a different group of people, different countries. But we get along with a lot of countries. We are respected again. Our country, the U.S., is respected again. Was not respected 6 months ago, I can tell you. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Mr. President, you have a deadline coming up.
Oh, I mean, they still want you to solve their problems in fucking Russia, Ukraine. They want you to start war over there.
Well, that's an interesting question.
They want you to start
we made a
lobbing
deal with
fucking
China.
bombs
we
at
made a deal
Putin.
with probably 4 or 5 different countries. With the UK, it was a great deal for both. And we're in the process of making some others. But ultimately, in fact, Scott is here. And Howard Lutnick, these 2 guys have been doing an incredible job. And the people that work with them have been doing an incredible job. But, you know, we have 200 countries. You could say 200 countries plus. We can't do that. So at a certain point over the next week and a half or so, or maybe before, we're going to send out a letter. We talked to many of the countries, and we're just going to tell them what they have to pay to do business in the United States. And it's going to go very quickly. But some of the bigger countries, so India, I think we're going to reach a deal where we have the right to go in and trade. Right now it's restricted. You can't walk in there. You can't even think about it. We're looking to get a full trade barrier dropping, which is unthinkable. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but as of this moment, we've agreed to that, go into Indian trade. We're going to be trading in China. That's going to come a little bit down the road, but we're going to be trading in China. We have a lot of great things going, and we're getting along with countries, but some will be disappointed because they're going to have to pay tariffs. And we've taken in already hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. No inflation. The only problem we have is we have a Fed guy that doesn't understand what's happening, and it would be great if he'd lower the rate because we
have someone who's doing some leakers.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Who are the leakers? Any leakers?
Why don't we keep it on this
Cut
subject?
off your
This
balls?
is such a big subject.
Put it in a
You know
vice
what?
grip?
Trade is so big, but this, I don't know, in a certain way, this might be bigger than trade. I think this is bigger than trade. Yes, please, go ahead.
I was wondering, though, if you could...
Go ahead.
Sir, on the transgender ruling, the Supreme Court...
transgender
ruled that
ruling.
parents with religious objections can pull their kids out of public school lessons that use LGBTQ...
Honestly, the whole LGBTQ thing, like, the fact that they were trying to make parents... Right, they were trying to force parents to allow them to teach LGBTQ to... No, they were literally, hey, we're going to teach your kids LGBTQ, and you're going to have to like it. Literally, that's what schools were doing. I was just like, what the fuck?
Materials. Pam brought it up. Your reaction to that ruling today, sir?
I think the ruling was a great ruling, and I think it's a great ruling for parents. It's really a ruling for parents. They
Yeah,
lost
it's like, get the
control
fuck
of the
out of here.
schools.
This is
They
so
lost
fucking
control
weird.
of their child.
To have
this
a
is
government
tremendous victory for
institution
parents,
be
and
like,
I'm not surprised by it, but
yeah,
I am
we're gonna
surprised
force
that it
you to
went
learn
far.
this, and you have to
It took
like
us
it.
to bring life back to normal.
You
so
have
it's
to
wonderful.
like
It's
it.
parental.
Yes.
And I kept saying, we will give you back your
Fucking
parental
stupid.
rights. They were taken away, and this is a tremendous victory for parents. Yeah.
Mr. President, if you look at the back at the last week, it's been extraordinary in terms of the action in the Middle East. You were at The Hague. I'm
Been a
wondering
hell of a
now.
week, hasn't it?
I'm wondering now if you believe
been
that
some
Iran.
week.
I'm wondering now, sir, if you believe that Iran has given up its long history of ambition.
Oh, I mean, right? I'm pretty sure they don't want to get fucked up again with all those
to prove
bombs.
that they do. And what type of meetings is your administration looking for next week with Iran?
So Iran wants to meet. As you know, their sites
they-
were obliterated.
they
They're
said they
very
were trying to
evil
do, like, a
nuclear
meeting
sites. They
sometime
were,
next
now
week
has
or
been
something.
proven. We had some fake news for a little while. The same people that covered the Hunter Biden laptop was from Russia. The same people that did 3 or 4 other Russia hoax.
But on their ambition.
No, wait, just listen. They came up with something that delayed the credit that our great pilots and these great
Yeah, it's
American,
like
I mean, they
these
want talent.
these
that was,
journalists
and they
ask
hit
a
it right
question
down
and
in
they
the spot.
they don't even let him
52,000
finish.
feet. Think of this dark,
It's
no
like, what?
moon, you couldn't see a thing, and they hit the refrigerator door, as they say. That's the size of a target, and overwhelmingly, and it's amazing.
Well, I
what
mean, you're
was
shooting
done.
up from
We're the
high
only
above.
ones that could
I
have
mean,
done it. And we took out
obviously
the
you do
other-
have
two
some.
of the other
It's
sites
guided
also,
too,
in
so,
addition
I
to
mean, you
that,
have
we
some
finished them off. That
more
was,
accuracy
very
there,
evil
but,
intention. I believe that, and again, time will tell, but I don't believe that they're going to go back into nuclear anytime soon. They spent over $1 trillion on nuclear, and they never got it together. And nothing was moved from the site, by the way. To do that is very dangerous. It's very, very heavy material. Those cars were most likely the cars of Masons because they were pouring concrete at the top, at the hatch.
Yeah,
as
those
you know, the
dump
hatch
trucks
going
at
into
the bit.
nuclear
Yeah,
site.
what
They wanted
yeah,
to
those dump
reinforce
trucks
it,
that
and they
people
had
think that
some
they were like,
Masons,
oh, maybe
there
they were
pouring
hauling the
concrete. By the way, that
material out
concrete
with that.
was
No,
obliterated.
those are
It
not.
hit exactly
Those
at
are
the
not
concrete.
hit, man.
It was. I don't think it had a chance to dry.
Yeah, especially if you want to
but,
move uranium. No,
everything's down there.
that's
It's
not how you
under
move it.
Millions of tons of rock. Please. Yes.
Your administration has said that El Salvador is one of the safest countries in the hemisphere. So why haven't you yet canceled temporary protective status for that country? Was it part of the deal?
Well, we'll
with the
take a look.
president?
We've had a great relationship with El Salvador. They have a fantastic leader. They
Also,
built a
all of the
massive,
images that are
prison
free
system.
to look at,
And I
yeah,
don't
why
know
would they?
exactly
why
but
would they
it's a
allow
hell
you
of a
to look
system,
at
and we bring people
very
there, and
classified
when they go there,
material?
they don't get out. And frankly, when they're here, they have to go
Like
there.
all
They
of those
become very nice
images they're
people.
putting out, yeah,
They
those
become
are
very nice
those are
people.
images
It's a
they
tough
allow
system,
you
but
to
it's
see.
a brilliant system, and it's a system done by a very.
They're not gonna
leader.
allow you to
And we'll
see
talk
like
about El
fucking
Salvador. A lot of
launchers and like
respect.
weapons and shit.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. A question for you, and then a question
Or like
for the
some
Attorney
kind of
General.
militaristic
As
movement.
you go into negotiations and talks with Iran, are you demanding not only that there would be no uranium production inside of Iran, but also that Iran would turn over all existing stockpiles of uranium?
Well, you know, we're a little early for that, but something like that, yeah, we'll do something like that. Let me say that I've been saying for 25 years, even as a civilian, you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon, and that's what happened. It's been obliterated. It would be years before they could ever get going, and I really think it's
Yeah, I don't
probably
know
the
why
last
they're
thing they
still
have to
pushing
recover
this
from
idea
a
to
hell of a
allow
tough
them to
war.
have a
Would you
nuclear
also be
weapon.
demanding
You already
that the
seen that with
IAEA
fucking
have
North
full
Korea,
rights to
and look how that's
inspect
going.
Iran
Or somebody,
Everyone's
yeah,
having
or
a hard
somebody
time
that
with
we
North Korea
respect,
now, right?
including ourselves.
And a question for both the President and the Attorney General. Under birthright citizenship, if this is implemented, who would be tasked with actually vetting citizenship? And how, like, would this be a situation where you have nurses and doctors checking for citizenship of parents, or?
This is all pending litigation. It's going to be decided in October by the Supreme Court, and we'll discuss that after the litigation.
If you have an undocumented baby, would that baby then be an enforcement priority?
What? That baby's
The
illegal.
violent criminals
mean?
in our country
That mother
are the
and
priority now. Let me put
mother
it in
and
perspective.
the parents that
Today
fucking illegally brought that child? No, I'm sorry.
2,711th
They're not of this
arrest
country.
in our country of TDA members, just TDA.
That baby is of that
agrees
other
they are one of the
country
most
where it was born
violent
from.
criminal
It is not of the
in
United
world.
States. It has
And
no
the Biden
documentation
administration
of
let them
being
walk
born in the
into our
U.S.
country,
So
walk
no,
into our
get the
country
fuck
For
out.
the last 4 years, 2,711 of them today have been arrested in our
Undocumented.
country.
Will
That
you
is the
allow
priority
this
of Donald Trump. That is the
undocumented baby
priority
to
of this
come
country,
into the
of Homeland
U.S.?
Security, of all
No.
of our lawyers, of FBI. That's the priority. That will be discussed.
You mean that
in
illegal
October when the
alien? Yeah,
Supreme
no.
Court
I'm
hopefully
sorry.
rules in our favor,
Same with
and
the
we're very
parents. You can go
confident of
back.
that. But you should all
Next
feel
time, go
safer now
through the
that
legal
President
way.
Trump can deport all of these gangs, and not one district court judge can think they're an emperor over this administration and his executive powers and why the people of the United States elected him.
I just might add one thing, and they used birthright citizenship, some of the worst people, some of the cartels, to get people into our country, just so you know. And again, I say, if you look at the end of the Civil War, the 1800s, it was a very turbulent time. If you take the end day, was it 1869?
The War of 1812 wasn't great.
But you take that exact day, that's when the case was filed. And the case ended shortly thereafter. This had to do with the babies of slaves, very, very obviously. And I think we're going to win. People didn't, I don't think they went about discussing it right. I came along.
I think there was a bunch of rebellions too during that time.
This is wrong. We've been looking at birthright citizenship wrong for years.
So you had some wars and some rebellions.
The cartels have used birthright citizenship to get very bad people in, and what Pam's doing and what Todd and everybody else, what they're doing at DOJ and all over, FBI, ICE, Border Patrol. These are.
I wouldn't say war. It's more like small war-like
and they don't want to have people come in. This is just another way that they get illegal immigrants into our country,
right.
and in some cases, very, very bad ones. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your tax bill, if I could for a moment, senators are racing to rewrite parts of it right now after the Senate parliamentarian ruled that sections of it were outside of the process that they're using to get this through. Do you think that senators should respect the decisions of the parliamentarian? And what have you personally done in the last 48 hours to try and get Republican senators who are against the bill to a yes?
Well, look, it's a great bill. It's a massive tax cut. If it's not approved, your taxes will go up by 68%. Think of that, 68, a record, the highest in the history.
Why don't you go tell your
Democrats
fucking
won't approve it
your
only
creator
because
to go
politically it's so
noose
good for the
himself.
Republicans.
Yeah?
The Democrats aren't approving it. But think of what they're not approving. They're not approving border security. We've done a great job at the border, but we have to add some wall. We have to do various things. We have no money for that. We have no money for the border. We have no money for so many things. But if the Democrats, it'd be interesting to see if we get any Democrat votes. We should. If I were a Democrat, I would absolutely, maybe Fetterman, because he seems to be the most sensible one lately.
Looks like a fucking
If I were a Democrat, I would vote for this bill all day long because it's tax cuts and so many other things that are common sense. They're basic things. I think they're doing fine. The parliamentarian's been a little difficult. And I would say that I disagree with the parliamentarian on some things, and on other ways he's been fine. But we'll have to see. It's a big issue. I will tell you this: if that bill doesn't pass, the country will get a 68% tax increase. So think of this: you're a Democrat and you vote against it. That means you're voting in favor, because essentially you're voting in favor of the largest tax hike in the history of our country.
Is he talking?
And you
Oh,
can't
okay,
do
the
that.
big beautiful
In
bill.
addition, we're cutting costs by $1.7 trillion, and it won't affect anybody. It's just fraud, waste, and abuse.
Mr. President.
Mr. President, a leading global economist just did a 180 and says your tariff plan you might outsmart.
Yeah, I heard about this.
What is your message?
I love this. I love this question. This is the favorite. This is the best question I've ever been asked,
gassing
because I've
him
been
up,
going through
man.
abuse for years.
Greasing
on
his
this.
palms, yeah.
Because as you know, we're taking in hundreds of no inflation whatsoever.
But, Mr. President, what is your message to critics who think your tariff plan will cause a recession?
I think they should go back to business school. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. I mean, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, I don't know why everyone has an issue with tariffs, because it's like all the other countries were putting tariffs on us as well. It makes no sense. Oh,
sir,
no,
we have a
terrorists,
problem.
please.
We don't know what to do. The books are a mess. I said, what do you mean by the books? The books, the money coming in. It's so terrible. I figured, oh boy, what's this? I don't like this question. I said, so what seems, there's so much money coming in, and there must be some kind of an accounting mistake, because we have hundreds of billions of dollars more money than we thought. I said, do me a favor, go check call me back. You have to call me back. Check the tariff column. Calls me back 2 hours later, says, you're right. We took in $88 billion in tariffs. There's so much money coming in. But more important than the money coming in.
So basically, we have a lot of money coming in with all of the trade deals and facilities they're apparently building.
We have all of it. We have over 15
So right now, there's a lot of
trillion
people
dollars,
investing right now to build
number. We went to
infrastructure
Saudi Arabia,
in a sense.
We went to Qatar. We went to UAE. Very smart people, very smart leaders, great leaders, and we took in $5.1 trillion.
Maybe look around your local area, see if they're building anything new.
November 5th, November 6th,
I forgot where they were saying they were trying to build like the AI.
You know, you used
like
to have
infrastructure
one day election,
facilities.
over it, but even if you just took that little period, because it was pretty obvious it was going to be a landslide. But
it was like one of the
that,
northern
they
states.
loved the
I forgot which
tariffs.
one.
I had Texas Instruments come in the other day, big company, and he said,
Oh yeah,
"We're putting
maybe
in
some of them are
$60
probably going to
billion
Texas
into
too.
new
Maybe.
plants and new equipment, new everything.
Yeah.
Sir, you're going to keep the tariffs, aren't you? Because if I ever took the tariffs off, and we are going to absolutely keep it. And they're worried that somebody like this communist from New York, somebody
sirens.
gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist.
He's a communist.
That's so bad for New York, but the rest of the country is revolting against
Man,
it.
call New York communist.
Yeah. If this was taken off, well, we're going to guarantee it's never going to be taken off. And again, we're taking in 100. Think of this.
You should call fucking California communist
now. And they were
now.
all confused because they've never seen this before. You know, it's always
basically all the blue
money.
states are commies.
So much money is coming in at levels that nobody's
Socialist
ever seen.
commie
But
fucks.
most importantly, we have factories being built, car plants being built, companies moving to our country like never before. If you look at 15
You should
trillion,
scrutinize
and that's only in a few
all
months.
of those
You know, I haven't been here
fucking
that long.
states. All of them.
Presidents like the last one was a disaster. He's the worst president in the history of our country, by the way. What he did on our border can never, ever be forgotten. To me, that's the worst of all the things. And he's done some terrible things, grossly incompetent. Nobody knew it was him because I don't think it was him. I think it was whoever was controlling the auto pen. But our country is doing great. And those leaders and other leaders I just left, as you know, a large group of the most highly respected people. And that includes big countries. When you look at Germany and France and Spain, although Spain didn't come through, but they will. By the way, guaranteed they will. That was the only country that sort of tried to hold back on putting up the money. But just so you know, they said...
Basically, I think
what's happening to
Spain
the
wants
USA.
nothing to do with
You were
any
a
of the
dead
conflicts,
country.
but at the same time,
We
it's
didn't
like you kind of
respect
have to because
the
you're going to get
country, the
roped
leader.
in too.
You were dead as a doornail.
Because you've been
One said to
living
me,
you've
"You
been
went from
living
being a
free
dead
over
country,
there, right?
You are right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. The whole
Every
world is
every
talking
place
about
has
the
been
USA,
getting hit, but
and
you're
everybody wants a
you're
part
living
of
your
it,
life.
and they're pouring into our country, and you're going to see those numbers. Thank you for that question.
Basically, when it ever comes to splitting into the axes and allied powers again, right? Countries are gonna have to fucking choose,
Some
right?
deals are not done by your July 9th deadline.
Which is it gonna
Will
be?
some countries' tariffs go back up, or will they stay where they
Yeah,
are
well,
now?
there are some countries that are used to ripping us off, to be honest with you. And I don't want to name them, but you sort of can name them. And they're so used to just, taking it billions and billions of, look, we had a trade deficit of more than $1 trillion. Think of a trade deficit. That's because nobody cared. We cared a lot when, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff. We had the greatest economy in history up until now. I think we're going to blow it away. But during my time, and especially prior to COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. I think we're going to blow it away now based on the kind of numbers that we're seeing. But some countries are very angry because they've been ripping us off for years. They've been making billions and billions of dollars. There was nobody to negotiate with. They could do whatever they want. They charge us tariffs, by the way. at numbers that we've never seen before. And we ended up losing much more than $1 trillion a year. $1 trillion a year on trade. And now they're being met with a force that's far greater than them, and they don't like it. So they're upset because instead of making, $5 billion, they're going to break even, or they'll make a little bit. I want to be nice. They'll make a little bit, or we'll make a little bit. It's a big difference. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. Red dress.
On the 2020 election, is there any more information on the special prosecutor? So many Americans still have questions about the 2020 election. And speaking of judges, would you consider
bringing back the
appointing
2020
somebody at
election
DOJ
shit.
maybe to investigate the judges that allowed for the political persecution of you, your family, and your supporters during the Biden administration?
I love you. Who are you? Well, that's just a very nice question.
Well, I mean,
And
I
it's
think
not
he
a
was
setup.
planning
I
on
have
doing
no
that
idea who you
anyways.
are, but I appreciate
Because, I
that
mean, they
question.
did try to
all
fuck
I can
with them a
say
lot.
is we're not here for that. I hope so. I hope they're doing a thing because that election was rigged and stolen, and we can't allow that to happen. A lot of people
Right,
tell
out
me,
of all of
"Sir,
the
you just won the
presidents,
greatest election
why
in the
was
history of
Trump
our
the only
country.
one
You won
picked
it
to be,
numbers
right,
that won all
investigated
7
so
swing
much?
states, won
It didn't
the
make any
popular
sense.
vote, won everything. Sir, go on with your
Versus some of
life.
the other presidents? Like,
And
come
the
on.
many people that say that,
Come
good
on.
people, friends
What
of
the
mine.
fuck?
Then you have people that say that same thing, go on with your life, but you have to find out what happened because you can't let that happen again. Look at what this lunatic did. Look at what he did. He opened our borders to people that were murderers, 11,888 to be exact, murderers, and we've captured many of those murderers, and we're bringing them back, or some of them are so dangerous that we don't even want to bring them back. We're afraid they're going to try and come back in. But he allowed people to come into this country, people from mental institutions, insane asylums. That's a mental institution on steroids. People
Bring
from
back
mental
the
institutions,
asylums.
gang members, drug dealers, people, jails being emptied out into our country. Venezuela emptied out almost its entire prison population into our country. But I don't want to blame them. Many countries have done that. The Congo, we have a great press conference coming up later, and it's the Congo and Rwanda. They were fighting for years.
Oh, yeah,
and
it's
it
been
was
like what?
machetes, it was
It's been
vicious,
like
it was
15, 20
people's
years?
heads being chopped off.
Because
And
I
have a man who's
remember
very
the
good in that part of the
Rwanda
world,
thing
very
back
smart,
when I was
and
in
put 'em
high
together.
school,
We're
I think
signing
is
a
when
peace
I
treaty
started
today.
learning
First
about
time in
that
many
stuff.
years they're going to have peace.
Because they showed a
And,
movie, the Hotel
it's a big
Rwanda
deal.
movie.
We talk about Russia, and we're working that one. President Putin called up and he said, "I'd love to help
it's
you
like,
with Iran."
I thought that
said,
shit
"Do
was
me a
over. I guess
favor.
not.
I'll handle Iran.
I guess
Help me with
there's some
Russia.
more
We
civil
got to get that
war.
one settled, and I think something's going to happen there. But we did some great work. India and Pakistan. That was going to be maybe nuclear. We did that. We did a lot of work. I don't know if there's ever been a president that's done much more. Serbia, Kosovo was going to go at it. Going to be a big war. I said, "You go at it. There's no trade with the United States." They said, "Well, maybe we won't go at it." That's what happened with India and Pakistan. I was negotiating with both of them, and I said to Scott, I said to Howard,
Yeah,
cancel all deals
right.
with
The India
and
Pakistan
They're not trading with us
died
because
down
they're
so
in a
quick.
war. They called back.
Like after
"What do we do?" I said,
the
"Look, you
little
wanna
skirmish,
have
right?
trade with
They
the
fucking
United
closed that
States.
down real
It's
quick.
great. But you
Holy
want to go
shit.
and start using nuclear weapons on each other? We're not going to allow that. And they both agreed. Both have great leaders. They both agreed not to do it. So we did a lot. But I appreciate that question.
I mean, also India and Pakistan are both right. They both have
I was just
nukes
speaking
too,
with Senator Ron
and
Johnson
they
on
said
the
they
One
weren't
Big
going to
Beautiful
use
Bill,
them.
and he says he
It would
really
have been
wants to
bad
get
too
to
if they
yes for
did.
you, and get this accomplished.
He does. He's a good man.
But he also said that he needs more time, and he is not certain that the July 4th deadline is
Well,
possible.
then he's not such a good man.
Because there's too much work to
No,
do.
he's a good man. Ron
How
Johnson's
important-
doing a good job. He's very committed. Every Republican senator is committed. And, you could have a couple of grandstanders, in all fairness. You could have somebody else. And it's very dangerous because our country would go from being the most successful country in the world to who knows what happens with a 68%. Think of it, 68% tax increase. That was given by the Democrats because they like high taxes. I don't know what happened. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd watch politicians talking, I'd say, oh, that's fun. And they were always saying, we
Oh,
will
that's
cut
fun.
your taxes. We will cut your taxes. They say, we will raise your taxes. And they elect people like this guy in New York that maybe has a
Trump
chance.
is calling
I find
them
it hard
out.
to believe, but he maybe has a chance. They want to raise your taxes. So they want to see a 68% tax increase. That's more money than anybody could afford. You'd go into a depression if that ever happened. So I think there's a lot of pressure to get that approved.
How important is the July 4th deadline to you? If
It's important. It's not the end all. It can go longer, but we'd like to get it done by that time, if possible. And look, we have a lot of very committed people, and they feel very strongly about a subjects that you're not even thinking about that are important to Republicans. The problem we have is that it's a great bill. It's a popular bill, but we'll get no Democrats only because they don't want to vote for Trump. If that bill was their bill, oh, they would be so happy. It's so great for our military. It's great for everything. And they would normally vote, but because their hatred of Trump, they have Trump derangement syndrome at levels never seen before. And instead of voting for a tax cut, they're voting for a tax increase of 68%. They're voting to destroy Social Security, destroy Medicare, and destroy Medicaid. And we're voting to make them perfect and to make them better, make them stronger and better. They're going to destroy Medicaid, and they're going to destroy Medicare, and Social Security will follow. If you vote for the Democrats, you're dead on those three.
You're dead. You're wrong.
On a related subject, many Democrats have said that they
Democrats
are
are
not
wrong.
going to support crypto bills in Congress only because of you and your family's personal crypto ventures. And these votes are in some cases needed to pass. Are you open to the idea
Yeah,
of
I don't know
pulling
why
away from your personal crypto ventures just for the next few years?
Yeah, I
if
don't
that
know
helps
why
get
he
these
made
crypto
his
bills passed in
the
next
whole
few
crypto
months?
stuff
it's a
that
very
he did.
funny
I
thing,
don't know why he
crypto.
did that
So
shit.
I became a fan of crypto.
He should have just
and to me, it's an
regulated
industry.
it
I view
with
as an
laws
industry,
and
I'm
stuff
president.
instead of trying to
And
make
if we
like
didn't have it,
fucking
China would, or somebody
meme
else would, but
coins
most
and
likely
shit.
China would love to. And we've dominated that industry. It's a big industry, by the way. In fact, when the stock market went down recently, crypto and Bitcoin and all of that went down much less than anybody else as a group. And we've created a very powerful industry, and that's much more important than anything that we invest in. We invest in it, but really that was an industry that wasn't doing particularly well. I got involved with it a couple of years ago, and before the second term. I got involved before I decided to run. I only decided to run because I saw what was happening, and Biden was incompetent, and the administration was crooked and incompetent. And I was in Bitcoin then, not knowing if I was going to do it a third time. So it's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces. And I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar. And it's a great thing for our country. So I don't care about investing. You know, I have I have
But he
kids,
also,
and they invest in different things. They do believe in it. But I'm president, and what I did
Trump
do there is build an industry that's very important. And you know, if we didn't have it, China would. Okay.
Sir, Mr. President.
Oh, he said China.
Gentlemen,
Uh-oh.
go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, are you going to cut funds in the sanctuary states, like for instance California? They keep supporting illegal immigration, and then these people work under
Yeah, we're
the
giving them
table.
a hard time.
And also, in a foreign policy
I
question.
mean, they don't have a governor in California. They
They
man
don't have
that
a
wants
governor
to
in
give away everything to people that nobody's seen before. If we didn't go into Los Angeles with the military, which did a fantastic
Oh, he's talking
job,
about
but if we
the
didn't go
protests
to Los Angeles, bringing
that
in
turned
the
into
National
riots,
Guard, I would have
and
brought
then
the
he went
military
back
if
to
it was necessary,
protesting.
because you have to. We have the right to. That was another thing upheld by the Supreme Court. But if we didn't go in with the National Guard and be strong and tough, you wouldn't maybe have Los Angeles. It would be like the rest of California, the rest of Los Angeles. They
Did we
lost
get the
25,000
purge?
houses.
Can we get the
in a fire.
purge
They should have
going?
lost none. You know, I sent the
I-
water
I
down.
wanna-
I had to
I wanna
break
get
into
the
their water
pitchforks
supply
and,
because
you
they
know.
just refuse to do it. They're crazy. There's something wrong with them. They have plenty of water.
Torches
They
out,
don't have
you know?
droughts or anything. They have we let it come down from the Pacific Northwest. They routed all the water out into the Pacific Ocean for environmental reasons, okay? And now you have 25,000 houses, none of which would have burned down if you had the water They didn't have water. They didn't have water
even
for the
talking
fire pumps.
about
They didn't
the
have water in
fire, the
sprinkler
Palisade
systems
fire.
that people put in. So the answer is,
Is he going to talk about the fish?
Governors. We're going to work with
The
radical
fish?
left Democrats and Democrats.
The fish.
And we're going to make it good for everybody. We'll have to stop the crime in those. In the case of the cities, I think I can say just about all cities with heavy crime are run by Democrats. Go ahead. Yeah, with the glasses.
I'm with Iran.
Go ahead, yes.
International.
Yeah, no, the man behind you, yeah.
No, not you. The man behind you. Oh,
Yeah, Lebanon. I want to ask you regarding the threats posed by Iran's allies and proxies operating in the U.S. They were threatening your life. So what do you say about that?
Operating
and
in the
Lebanon, because Hezbollah is as well part of Iran's allies. Is there any time frame in Lebanon regarding?
He's talking about
Hezbollah
some of
and
the
Lebanon?
Iranian nationals
Lebanon
that
is a
were in
great
the
place
country.
with brilliant people. You know, it was known for the professors and doctors and had
And
an
some of
incredible
them were
history.
of
And hopefully we
military,
can bring
right?
it
Had
back
military
again. I just,
background.
appointed a friend of mine who's Lebanese.
It's like,
and I didn't know he was Lebanese. I've known him for 20 years. Very, very successful man. And I just appointed him. And I said, why would you want that? He said, because I was born there. I was raised there. I love it. I love it so much. I said, you know, it's very dangerous going to Lebanon as ambassador. And he said, that's what they say, but I don't care about danger. I mean, this is a guy that is just a very big business guy. He wants to give up his whole life to go to Lebanon because he believes in it so much. We're with Lebanon all the way. We'll try and straighten it out.
Your life as well. So what action?
Threaten my life? Yeah, they have threatened. I get
Yeah.
that throbbing feeling every once in a while. Get that throbbing feeling, but you know what? That's okay. This is a dangerous business. What I do is a dangerous business. You know, I tell the story of the car companies and different people and different professions you have. Race car drivers, as an example.
Yeah, it's like people don't understand how dangerous being a fucking politician is. you literally remember what happened with Shinzo Abe, right? You could get one crazy person to just do that shit, and that's it.
1/10 of 1% die. Bull riders, 1/10.
All it takes
of 1%.
is one
That's
crazy
not a lot,
person.
but it's people die. When you're president, it's about 5%. If somebody would have told me that, maybe I wouldn't have run.
Also,
okay?
You can so easily
This is a
track
very
down
dangerous
like these presidents
profession.
too, because they go out in public like a lot, right? They go out to rallies a
By the
lot,
way, so many
right?
questions. Should we keep this going, Pam? Or not?
Yes, Pam, should we keep going? Yeah, everyone's like, yes, please.
Biden would
We
take
want
a
more
half a question and
answers.
he'd leave without answering it.
Call that Biden.
You tell me when it gets boring, okay?
If Iran...
Are you from Iran?
No, I'm not
No.
from Iran. I'm from the UK. But if,
from the
If
UK.
the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country
Sure.
again?
Without question, absolutely.
Had any-
It has to
Absolutely.
be unbelievable. But, you know, our incredible flyers and I call them the shots, these guys are unbelievable. Think, from 52,000 feet, they hit the equivalent of a refrigerator door. They actually hit it right in the center, so it's much smaller than that. And just bomb after bomb going deeper, deeper, blowing up. Incredible,
so
incredible thing. I don't know if you heard the
from
general.
the
he was
looks
very
of it, there
impressive.
was like
Raising
2
Cane.
entrances.
You know, he's the one that
right?
beat ISIS.
I thought
for
what
me.
I thought
And
from
he did it in a matter of
the
weeks.
holes they
And I was
attacked
told it
where
was
the
gonna
2
take 4 or 5
entrances were.
years. And when I got
Right, in
this
those
job, I always
areas,
said,
the
if I
dead
get this
center of
job, I'm going to
the
put that
whole
guy as the head
facility.
of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And Dan Kane, and he, when I heard his name was Raisin, his nickname is Raisin Kane. I said, you got to be kidding. So I liked him right from the beginning, but he knocked out ISIS in
Fucking,
a time
yeah,
that
holy
nobody ever
shit,
thought
that's just
possible.
fucking Raisin
And when this
Cane.
attack was completed and so successful, I said, now
General
I know
Raisin
how you knocked out
Cane,
ISIS
how's
so
it going?
quickly. But we have
Sir.
the best people, we have the best
Jesus.
equipment in the world. You know, I rebuilt the military during my 4 years, during my other term. We have the best equipment in the world. The problem is we gave away, you know, a lot of it, but small, relatively speaking. We gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan. Shouldn't have happened. That just shows how incompetent they were. They gave all that equipment away, billions and billions of dollars worth. Shouldn't have happened, but that was small compared to what we have. Now we have a great military with great people. Okay. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, congratulations
questions, a couple of very different questions. One is Rwanda, 1994. As you grew up in New York, we all knew how horrific those attacks were. Congratulations on that treaty. There are talks that perhaps...
That's going to take place today at 3 o'clock in the Oval Office. We're going to have a signing with Rwanda and the Congo.
I have a follow-up.
So I'm a little out of my league in that one because I didn't know too much about it. I knew one thing. They were going at it for many years and with machetes. It is
Oh yeah, they were doing some brutal stuff.
Anyone's ever seen. And I just happened to have somebody.
You know
who was able to get it settled.
how we
I mean,
say
just a
lynchings are
brilliant person
racist? Yeah, they
who
were doing that.
is very comfortable in that part of the world. It's a very dangerous part of the world. They said, "Are you uncomfortable there? People are being killed. School children are being raided and killed." And I don't even want to say how, but as viciously as I've ever heard. Are you uncomfortable? No, that's the part of the world that I know. Very comfortable. Was able to get them together and sell it. And not only that, we're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to, look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House, and they're so honored. And so we're going to give them a great big reception, but that's after many years of fighting. It's a great thing. That's at 3 o'clock, I believe.
3 o'clock.
Sir, are you concerned at all about secret nuclear sites in Iran? You talked about maybe just
secret nuclear site?
Yes.
Not really. Can I tell you? They're exhausted. And Israel's exhausted too.
Yeah, I mean, they've been going
I
at it
dealt
for a
with
while,
both
you
of
know.
them. And they both wanted it settled, both of them. And we did a great job, but they're
Well, I mean,
exhausted.
Israel has
The
been
last thing they're
fighting
thinking
with,
about
right,
now is nuclear.
Hamas
You know what
in
they're
that
thinking
area
about?
for
They're
a
thinking
little
about
bit.
tomorrow, trying
With
to
Gaza.
live. It's such a mess. It's such a
I
mess.
was
The
like,
place was bombed to hell.
they've been literally
And,
fighting like
no, I'm
3
not
fronts.
worried about it at all.
They
And
were
I'm putting out a little
shooting at
statement. I'm gonna
Lebanon,
respond
shooting
to
at
the
Hamas.
Ayatollah's statement.
Right, shooting at
yesterday
Iran.
that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith.
Shooting
man
at
who's highly respected in this
Ebola.
country.
Ebola,
You have to tell the
motherfucker.
truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it. It was quick. They got the hate out. There was a lot of hate. A lot of hate. It would be great if they didn't have that hate. But the last thing they're thinking about is nuclear weapons right now. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Iris Tao with NTD Research Media with the Epoch Times. Thank you
Good.
so much for doing this. It's
Epoch
very refreshing for all
Times.
of us here
It's a good
I believe,
group.
in this room.
It's refreshing.
Very refreshing. Yes, we haven't had
Probably.
this in, for the
I understand what you mean.
So thank you so much for coming out here.
Other
to talk
than
to us.
Caroline's done a great job.
Yes, sure.
You're referring to the past administration,
Yes,
not to
yes.
Caroline, right?
Yes. Back to the ruling today, if you don't mind. So you have always talked about winning for the American people.
Right.
How do you think today's ruling will enable you to further
Making fun of
deliver for
Kareem.
American families and workers
Yeah.
across the country, not only when it comes to immigration, but also when it comes to trade, energy? What actions are you most eager to move forward
Well, I
with
think
now?
taking power away from these absolutely crazy radical left judges is a tremendous. This is such a big day. This is such a big day. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty big. Now,
it's sort of
now
sad
Trump
because
can't
we're
get
doing the
stopped at
signing
every
3
fucking
o'clock, and
turn
you know, this may very
when
well
he's
dominate the signing
enacting
of a
certain
big
executive
war that was
orders.
going on and really affecting the continent of. Think of it, the entire continent of Africa was being affected. And we're settling that war today, and this will probably be a headline. But this is a very big moment, and it gives power back to people that should have it, including Congress, including the presidency. And it only takes bad power away from judges. It really doesn't take power. It takes bad power, sick power, and unfair power. And it's really going to be, this is a very monumental decision. Yeah, please.
Yes, President, thank you very much. On July 9th, is that July 9th date set for tariffs to snap
No.
back, or could there be a...
We can do whatever we want. We could extend it. We could make it shorter. I'd like to make it shorter. I'd like to just send letters out to everybody. Congratulations, you're paying 25%. He doesn't want. He's a much nicer person than I am. Go ahead. Did you finish it up?
Who are you considering for the Federal Reserve then? And are you speeding up that process? I see Secretary...
Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible. I mean, I have a list of things with like 38
Is he
on the
talking
list.
about Powell?
Pay, Cameroon and different places are paying the same as us.
Yeah, Federal
Because,
Reserve, is that what he's talking
sets a rate
about?
at 4% or 4.5%. It's hard to go out and say we should be paying 1% when you have your so-called experts doing it. And the sad part is, as per the question that you asked about tariffs, we've had the tariffs, and we have less inflation than we had before. What we have is a hell of a lot more money, a hell of a lot more income, and we shouldn't be paying a rate like that. In other words, when we pay a rate, I'll tell you, each point is the equivalent of $300 billion. So if we had it down 3 points, because I think we should be at 1, you have Switzerland is at 0.25. In other words, 25% of 1%. And they're the number 1 right now. But we should be the number 1. And soon you're going to have, I think, you're going to have where the people will pay will pay, like we had a few years ago, where you put up money, you loan money, and I mean, you actually, instead of paying, you get paid. I love that. I don't know if it's any good, but I love it, where you put up money and you get paid. But we should be in a category, so we should be at the top of the list, not toward the bottom of the list. But we have a man who's not a smart man, and he probably has Trump derangement syndrome. And he's just not a smart person. What he's doing, though, he's hurting us for years to come. Because if we borrow money at 2 points higher than we should be paying, that's $600 billion. Wouldn't you say those numbers are about right, Scott? So it's 2 points would be about 600, actually more than that, but about $600 billion, all because the guy doesn't want to lower the rates. He's doing the service, a very disservice, and then he goes up and talks about, I'd like to see costs come down. He gets up and he does his little thing for 5 minutes, and he goes out and he goes back to the beach. He goes, I'd like to see costs come down. Well, he could lower the interest cost by $900 billion a year. All he has to do is lower rates. And everybody's saying, I was watching some of the business shows today, and they're saying, Trump's right. He should really be cutting. The country's doing well. We have no inflation. Now, despite him, we're doing great. But if we got the rates down, we would be a rocket ship. So I think that'll be it. And I just want to thank everybody. This is a really big day. We've had a big week. We've had a big week. We've had a lot of victories this week. NATO was a tremendous victory. The war was a tremendous. Look, we were talking about this for 30 years, about Iran being nuclear. And all I said is it will not be nuclear, and it's not going to be nuclear. And I want to give credit to a lot of people, and most importantly to our great military. Boy, they put out that fire. Once that happened, once those bombs got dropped, that war was over. That war was over. But I just want to compliment them. Incredible. The general and all of his generals. Pete Hegseth was great. They were all. And now I want to compliment Pam. A lot of genius went into this. People, if you don't say it exactly right, if the Supreme Court doesn't get it because it's incorrectly spoken about, and that happens. A lot of cases are lost because they don't say the right words. But I want to correct. She's going to go down as a great attorney general. I may change my mind about that. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll have call and say I was only kidding. She's going to go down as a great attorney general. This was a tremendous win, and we've had tremendous wins.
I mean, she's doing okay so far.
So I just want to congratulate you.
I had my
and
issues
Todd
because
and
of how slow,
staff.
how
Very
slow
brilliant
things were
people.
going.
We can't forget John Sauer.
That's right.
But it may be picking up. I don't know.
Within his family, so he's taking care of that.
We can see later.
He said absolutely. So I just want to thank everybody very much. Thank you.
Oh, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Sir, please, Mr. President, please, one more question now. Mr. President, my home. My real estate. I need some real estate. California's shit. Help. Alright, there it is, ladies and gents. Starts at 21:32. Right. I'm pretty sure he did. There's no way in hell Joe Biden can do this ever. I mean, anytime in the last 50. Dude, motherfucker would have just not taken any questions. Right? He would have just said he would have just said his like 15-20 minute speech and then been out. That's it, right? He would have been on his fucking way to one of his summer homes or or getaway homes. All right, there you have it. We will close it off there.